Hello and welcome to Political Theatre. I am Vishal Dahiya, and this week we will take a look at the high-stakes electoral battle in the state of Karnataka. Let's begin with a look at how Karnataka voted today. Over 70% polling was recorded in Karnataka Assembly elections till 6 p.m. The polling took place for 222 of the 224 seats. Close to 5 crore people in Karnataka were eligible to vote. Apart from 80,000 EVMs connected to the VVPATs, Election Commission used the tamper-proof M3 EVMs that stops when attempts are made to meddle with it. 450 pink booths called Sahai were also set up. Over 2,600 candidates, including 200 women, are in the fray. The state is witnessing a three-cornered contest this time among the ruling Congress, the BJP and the JDS. And now let's take a look at the exit polls that are predicting a tight race between the BJP and the Congress in the state of Karnataka. While just a couple of them have projected a clear majority for either party, most of the polls have predicted a hung assembly with the JDS playing the kingmaker. The India Today exit poll has said that the ruling Congress will emerge as the largest party with 106 to 118 seats in its kitty. It is giving 79 to 92 seats to the BJP and 22 to 30 seats to the JDS. The Times Now VMR exit poll also showed Congress as the largest party with 90 to 103 seats and 80 to 93 seats for the BJP. According to this poll, JDS will end up with 31 to 39 seats. And the Swarna exit poll says that Congress will win between 106 to 118 seats, while the BJP will get 79 to 90 seats. For JDS, it has predicted a victory on 22 to 30 seats. The C voter poll sees the BJP emerging as the largest party with 103 seats. It puts the likely tally of Congress at 93, with the JDS likely to get 25 seats. The ABP CSTS exit poll predicts a hung assembly with BJP winning 89 to 95 seats and Congress bagging 85 to 91 seats. JDS is likely to win 32 to 38 seats according to their survey. The NewsX CNX poll survey says that BJP is likely to get between 102 to 110 seats, while Congress is expected to get between 72 to 78 seats. JDS, according to this poll, is likely to win on 35 to 39 seats. And the NETV exit poll predicts that 98 seats will go to the BJP, 88 to the Congress and 33 to the JDS. The Republic TV and Jan Ki Baat exit poll predicts 85 to 114 seats for the BJP, 73 to 82 seats for the Congress and 32 to 43 seats for the JDS. So this is the picture which is being portrayed by several exit polls to have a closer look on what exactly does these figures mean and to analyze what exactly might be the scenario in Karnataka on 15th. We have with us a distinguished panel of guests. Let me start by introducing them to you, starting with Mr. Shekhar, Iyer, political editor of Deccan Herald. We also have with us senior journalist Daniel Francis and our political analyst, Mr. Ambika Nand, Sahai. Welcome all of you to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, Shekhar. If you look at all the exit polls, overall, it looks like it's going to be a hung assembly.
Well, first we'll have to get what this exit poll is all about. I think most of our viewers know about it. It's a poll that is done when the voters cast their ballot and come out and say. Now, we have seen more than 70% polling. What is broadly coming if the exit polls are true and actually indicate the voters' mind? I think I would look at it this way. The one point that is emerging is Congress is not going to repeat the 2013 feat of having a very complete majority on its own to come back to power. That's very clear. Number two, BJP could emerge as the single largest party, and there is a possibility it could edge towards a more comfortable position. Number three, people who had written off JDS, they could be in for a surprise. The JDS could have anything between 20 to 35, 40 seats. Now, this is the kind of scenario. Whenever exit polls talk of hung assembly, I rather look at it as a playing the safe option, you know, because you can always say, because these figures are getting updated. Because what I just gathered before we come here, even Times now has got another agency do it. There are two Times now exit polls. One says Congress could be number one. The other says the BJP could have very comfortable.
And the other one is Chanakya exit poll, which the figures which came in late, which you're talking about, says that the BJP will get around 120, the Congress will be getting around 73, JDS around 26. So
therefore, I think broadly what is coming out is Congress is not going to find it easy to come back to power. So what kind of arrangements could come, who could be its future alliance partners, with whom it could form coalition would actually depend on, I mean, the missing link would come on 15th, when you know exactly who has numbers. That's one big.
Okay. Let me bring in Ambika Nandji here. Ambika Nandji, if you look at a closer look at these figures, give us a clear indication that whether it be a hung assembly or it is a neck-to-neck fight between both Congress and BJP, which all these numbers are pointing at. And let's not forget that these are exit polls based on specific questions asked to a set of people. But one thing which is emerging here is that, as Shekhar was also pointing out, JDS is likely to emerge much stronger than it was in last polls.
See, let me begin by saying that personally speaking, I don't trust exit polls, opinion polls too much. The pollsters have had very bad days globally. They went wrong about Trump, about Brexit, again they fell flat on their face. So I don't trust them too much. Having said that, I would say that if you come to the mid-mark of these exit polls, again this runs counter to the national trend. Since 1914, whichever state elections have taken place, see, there has been the trend that somebody gets clear-cut majority. You saw it in Bihar, in Delhi, then Uttarakhand, Northeast, Punjab, clear-cut verdict. Even in Tripura, clear verdict. So that gives me an odd feeling somewhere in the head. So I don't trust it. But now look at the two competitive parties, the Congress and the BJP. The BJP is blessed with a leader like Narendra Modi, charismatic. And we are a nation of hero worshippers. No two opinions on that. When Jawaharlal ji was there, when Indira Gandhi was there, people went for them. Now Modi ji is there, people seem to be going towards the Modi way. But what really makes BJP different is its poll machinery, and then a very, very practical, hard-nosed president called Amit Shah. See, he's a past master in winning elections. You saw that in UP, in Uttar Pradesh. Now, in this context, I would like to point out that for Amit Shah, winnability is the sole factor. You saw in Tripura, people from TMC were brought in, from Congress, they were given tickets, and most of these people won. Even in Uttar Pradesh, they imported candidates from SP and BSP and even smaller parties. And they succeeded massively. In Karnataka also, they have repeated the experiment, and that is why all these pollsters, I believe, are going in favor of BJP mostly. But I am keeping my fingers crossed. I don't trust them.
Okay. That's a very significant statement. Let's and it'll be another 48 to 72 hours rather specifically before we get to know exactly what has happened in Karnataka. Let me bring in Daniel here. Daniel, again, Ambika Nand ji has clearly pointed out and sort of not answered the exit question as to whether or not the JDS will be that important a factor.
I'll come to that.
Yeah, well, we can come back to that. But let me bring in Daniel on this. Daniel, do you believe? Yeah, do you believe that JDS this time around will hold the key to the power in Bengaluru?
If you clearly look at the campaign, okay, and what's happened in the last 3-4 weeks in the way the campaign has shaped, the campaign only reflects two important competitors, the BJP and the Congress party. The JDS was looking like being caught between the BJP and the Congress, and statements like what the Prime Minister made about the JDS chief actually sent them in a tizzy. They're not able to address that issue, whether they are with the Congress or with the BJP. Because they were very concerned about their core vote bank. I have not seen an impactful campaign from them, and only on that basis I would like to conclude that JDS may not be the kingmaker, the way these polls have predicted, because their campaign has not been able to excite or influence or try to carve out a niche for themselves or share out of these two giants that were fighting in Karnataka. It was clearly a campaign between the BJP and the Congress party, and my prediction is that either of them are making a government there with clear majority.
Okay, Shekhar, your views on that? Clearly, is it Congress versus BJP? The JDS might improve on its numbers, but it won't have the kingmaker position?
Well, I think on the ground, as the campaign rolled on, we did see a lot of traction for JDS, because the JDS was, after the last election and the kind of party activity we have seen in the course, the run-up to this election, it was rather considered an underdog, rather actually. I mean, nothing much was expected. But during the course of campaign and the kind of problems Siddaramaiah was facing in both Varuna as well as in Chamundeshwari, which are part of that Vokalinga belt, it has been quite a Herculean task, and you can see the tension, the fact that he had to contest from two places, and so long as Devagowda is at the helm of Janata Dal Secular, it is very difficult to write off that party.
Okay.
And other thing what has happened is, as for the BJP, you see, 2 months ago, nobody would have thought that BJP could be in such a fighting mode. But not only since December, after Amit Shah took charge, and the kind of booth level work, which is the most important thing. In fact, you would be surprised to know, even as all our attention is focused on Karnataka, since the voting took place, Amit Shah is addressing booth level workers meeting in Goa tomorrow. So that booth level management, getting to set up booth level committees, which was a big success in Uttar Pradesh. So they have a system of management which has not been followed by other parties.
Okay.
Even for the Congress, at one time they had this kind of state level, district level, panchayat level and all that. But Congress organization has always suffered from some lacuna.
Okay.
On the other hand, in the last 3 months, the kind of organizational network that has been strengthened, that is also driving this. And above all was Prime Minister Modi's campaign. The last 10 days, addressing over 21 meetings, he brought in new energy to the BJP campaign.
Okay.
Therefore, I would not be personally surprised if BJP was close to the striking distance.
Okay. Ambika Nand ji, one question which, apart from the JDS part, which you would definitely want to answer, one question which everybody is looking at right now is whether this election was Rahul Gandhi versus the Amit Shah and Narendra Modi duo, or it was simply Siddaramaiah versus B.S. Yediyurappa.
Neither. The truth is that it was Siddaramaiah versus Modi.
Okay.
See, when you have a very strong regional satrap, and if it is a state assembly election, that matters most. And Siddaramaiah within Karnataka has shown that he is a power to reckon with. He is not like any other Congress leader who would go and salute Rahul Gandhi all the time and survive at others' mercy. So Siddaramaiah is a personality in himself, and I view it was a fight between Siddaramaiah and Modi. There was a time when Yediyurappa was a strong regional leader, But over the years, a lot of bite was lost. And we all know why and how. Now, I would like to dig deeper into this Deve Gowda family. See, most of the people imagine that it is one solid party. It is not. Deve Gowda's two sons. See, one is very ambitious and wants to be chief minister and nothing else. The other one is very, very close to Siddaramaiah. So, we will have to wait a bit and see if this party splits ultimately.
Okay, that's interesting.
If Congress, you see, is short of a few seats, I don't see much of a problem for them.
Okay.
But if BJP is close to 100, then Kumaraswamy would, I believe, support them.
Okay. Let's bring Daniel this time around. We're running short of time, Daniel, but let's, time to stick our necks out and ask that specific question. What is it that you believe is going to be on 15th? Will it be BJP surging ahead, if becoming the single largest party, if not making the government?
Yes. I would have loved to stick my neck out, but after seeing the reality, the last few elections, whether it was Bihar, whether it was Punjab, whether it was Gujarat, and also seeing the trend that most governments have also become pro-incumbency and not anti-incumbency. We have seen it for many years now that successive governments have been elected, particularly in states. Even if you see in 2013, the Congress stock was low, yet Congress recovered in Karnataka. And to everyone's surprise, they came to power. I would really think that it's a decisive mandate. There'll be a clear winner, either the BJP or the Congress.
Okay.
No other. I don't think it's a hung situation.
Okay.
Pollsters have always, particularly exit polls, have really gone wrong in the last few elections. In comparison, even in 2013, exit polls were giving BJP a comeback in Karnataka, most of them. The same thing has happened now. So, keeping pollsters aside, I really think that it's a difficult election to guess. But my bet would be that either the BJP or the Congress with clear majority with no kingmaker.
Okay, clearly. So, Daniel is saying that there is no doubt he believes that it will not be a hung assembly. Shekhar, to you, given the fact that, most of the exit polls today are pointing to a hung assembly, would you also go with Daniel and say, no, this might not happen?
No, I'm looking at a scenario because since we are discussing on the basis of the exit polls,
yeah.
What I am looking at is, one thing is very clear, Congress is not coming back with a very comfortable position.
Okay.
That's very clear. And the anti-incumbency on the ground has finally played it out. And the fact that the last, in the 5-year course, Siddaramaiah was not performance much in the last 3 years, and it was the last 2 years he got a little more active. And so therefore, a lot of rural distress, a lot of thing is actually pulling down the Congress thing. And on the other hand, BJP has somehow, the kind of a hare and a tortoise kind of game, where we saw in the last phase, BJP has managed to get a lot of traction, and thanks largely due to a very energetic and electrifying campaign by the Prime Minister.
Okay, that is what the trend has been. The Prime Minister jumps into the bandwagon or into the fray in the last moment and does a carpet bombing of the rallies and all that. Let's go to Ambika Nandji. Ambika Nandji, on your part, how do you look at it? A hung assembly or clear verdict for the either party, or will it be like somebody just stopping short of the halfway mark?
No, I genuinely believe it will be a clear-cut verdict. And there are reasons for that.
Okay.
But I may not entirely agree with Shekhar. See, I still believe the edge is with the Congress, with a strong local leader like Siddaramaiah.
But Yediyurappa is also considered to be as tall a regional leader.
He was, no longer. Now, what makes BJP strong is thanks to Modi and Shah and their election machinery, not because of Siddaramaiah any longer. Now, something else is important. You see the big picture in India. I'll give the examples of Gorakhpur and Phulpur. That straight away gives you the impression that Mr. Modi is not as strong as he was in 2014. And Congress is not as weak as it was with 44 seats in 2014. So times are changing, but finally I would say I still keep my fingers crossed. These exit polls have confused me. So let's wait for 3 more days.
Okay, so clearly it looks like that the exit polls might have predicted a hung assembly, almost most of them, but our panelists are also clearly divided, just like the exit polls, while one of them is saying that it might be a clear majority for either BJP or the Congress, but it looks like that the final figures, when they are out on 15th, will be revealed clearly as to what went wrong for which party and what played out correctly for which one of them, and whether it was Siddaramaiah plus Rahul Gandhi combined which made it out in the end, or was it Narendra Modi and Amit Shah combined which finally snatched the victory from the Congress. Let's wait it out till 15th, and on 15th specifically, we'll bring you live updates and analysis since 7 o'clock in the morning. So stay with us. You can also connect with us on our YouTube channel and get live updates on our Twitter handle as well. Stay tuned to Rajya Sabha Television.